Do you have any idea of the number of scenes from Disney cartoons and movies that were banned or deleted? Did you know that some Disney scenes were so intense that they had to be completely censored? Well, folks, there's a lot that Disney had to modify to release their cartoons and movies. For example, let's take the case of Zootopia, a movie where we see a city where all animals live together peacefully in society. This led some people to wonder about the interaction between predator animals and animals that are usually preyed upon, like the two main characters. The initial concept for the film was that all predator animals would wear shock collars that would prevent their carnivorous instincts, so to speak, but the idea was scrapped. Thank goodness, because it would have turned into something like Mad Max. That would have kind of ruined the atmosphere of the cartoon, which is meant for kids. Apart from this case, we have many more that we've gathered for you today. Fantasia. This was definitely one of the most problematic cases for the House of Mickey. Fantasia is a 1940 film that combines various animated segments accompanied by masterfully composed orchestral music for the animation. However, in some scenes, we see something that was truly a product of an outdated and somewhat prejudiced culture that still existed at the time, about 80 years ago. For example, in the film, we see several centaurs, and it is possible to notice that they have a kind of servant or maid. The problem arises when we realize that the servant has African American features, and we understand that racial connotations were indeed present in those scenes. This becomes evident because none of the other characters who were not African American played the roles of servants. Furthermore, the character had some depreciative traits that are used against the black population. For this reason, Disney rightly chose to remove this segment from the current version available on their streaming platform, and they did well in doing so. Bluey! Bluey is a children's series that has been part of Disney's catalog since 2018. The focus of the animation is indeed a very young audience, so the question arises, what could be censored in such a series? Well, we're about to tell you. In the episode called Horseplay, there's a part where Bluey and her little friend are having an interaction with a small horse. Believe it or not, the scene that was cut from Disney Plus, the company's streaming service, is when the little horse astonishingly poops, and the two puppy dogs run away, kind of startled. For some reason, someone at the company thought it was best to remove the scene, which I personally find quite funny. After all, that's how horses are. Those who have seen it know what I'm talking about.
You're so beautiful.
If you've made it this far, you're definitely someone very curious, just like us. To let us know that you're enjoying it, comment down below. #CuriousMind. There are still many censored scenes from Disney that we're going to tell you about now. Frozen. Frozen is one of the highest grossing animated films of all time. The movie attracted millions of people to theaters, most of whom were children who left the cinema singing, "Let it go!"
Let it go.
Let it go, let it go, can't hold it back anymore.
Millions of little girls still love to dress up as Elsa to this day, but perhaps everything would have been very different if the original plan for Disney's script had actually been carried out. In the original plan, there wouldn't be that beautiful bond between the two sisters, Elsa and Anna. And even worse than that, Elsa would actually be a cruel villain who, at one point in the film, would even make two guards suffer with her powers to extract information from them. But luckily for all of us, at some point, the film's directors, Jennifer and Chris, decided to change the script, creating the story as we all know and love it. Phew, that was definitely a great modification.
Do you want to build a snowman? It doesn't have to be a snowman.
Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is one of those duos that left their mark in the world of animated cartoons. In the episode, Don't Try This at Home, there's a scene where Lilo is hiding inside a clothes dryer so her sister won't find her. That's at least in the original version. In the modified version available on Disney Plus, we see that the appearance of the clothes dryer changes completely. The dryer becomes a kind of cabinet, and the door is painted with a picture of pizza. This was changed to discourage children from entering appliances such as washing machines, refrigerators, and dryers to prevent accidents or even worse things from happening. In this case, it was a valid safety measure. Toy Story. Without a doubt, Toy Story wasn't just part of Andy's life, the owner of the toys in the film, but of millions of children worldwide.
You're my favorite deputy.
You got a friend in me.
And something that definitely left a mark on all of us who watched and loved this franchise was the unlikely friendship between Woody, the cowboy doll, and Buzz, the fearless astronaut. Even though they didn't get along at first, we see that they eventually become a great duo. But the original idea was somewhat different. The plan was to make Woody a bit more cruel and insensitive. In a scene drawn among the original script options, we see Woody shaking hands with Buzz, but then he becomes treacherous and throws Andy's new toy out the window, all out of jealousy as Buzz was Andy's new favorite toy. The other toys protest, and Woody even threatens them. But fortunately, this part of the animation was changed, and the version of Woody that we know is undoubtedly much better. I like Woody, but if he had done that, I don't think I would have liked him as much. And you, do you also enjoy Toy Story? Comment down below so we can know. Do you prefer Buzz or Woody? The Incredibles. The Incredibles portrays the life of a family composed of retired superheroes and their superpowered children who return to action to fight villains. But originally, the idea was just to show what the domestic life of a superhero family would be like. And in this original script, many ideas and scenes were left out, and one of them is extremely painful, so to speak. We see the family having a barbecue, and we see Mr. Incredible accidentally cutting his own fingers. But it's not just a small cut, he actually severs his fingers by accident. Man, it hurts just to look at this storyboard, honestly, so I don't even need to explain why this scene was removed. After all, it would be too heavy for the film's target audience, children. The Simpsons. We know that originally the Simpsons weren't part of Disney, but just like the Star Wars saga, they were acquired by the company and became part of its catalog. And if there's one thing the Simpsons are really good at, it's stirring up controversy on all possible topics. There's an episode where Homer ends up in a sanatorium for a while, and there he meets a tall, obese white guy who claims to be Michael Jackson. But in reality, the guy is just a fake.
Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl.
And only Homer doesn't know who the real Michael Jackson is. Anyway, everyone in Springfield is frustrated when they realize that the guy is a fraud. The funny thing is that the character was actually voiced by the King of Pop himself. However, he was simply cut from the list of Simpsons episodes after a documentary called Leaving Neverland was released. This documentary investigated Michael's relationship with two boys and their families. In the end, the show's producers thought it was best to remove the episode permanently. Better to avoid controversy? Moana. Moana has many cool characters, but one that stands out is Grandma Tala. She was responsible for telling Moana all the stories and myths she needs to hear and know about her people and their history. This greatly helps Moana throughout her heroic journey during the film. In other words, without Grandma Tala, Moana's adventures would be quite different. And what if I told you that in the original idea from Disney, Grandma Tala didn't even exist? Would you believe it? In the first story conceived for the film, Moana would have a group of brothers who would serve as her mentors in everything. So even though it's not something censored, it was certainly a significant change that Disney made in one of their great films. And it definitely made all the difference. Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 grossed $500 million at the box office when it was released. So, for sure many children watched the movie and didn't quite understand the second post-credits scene. In that scene, we see the film's villain, Stinky Pete, having an interview with two Barbie dolls and telling them that he could probably get them a role in an upcoming Toy Story movie. This scene is a fourth wall break, just like the bloopers we saw in the first part of the post-credits scene in Toy Story 2. The problem is that this scene made a joke about controversial cases that were becoming increasingly known through allegations. The allegations were about actresses being coerced by movie producers to exchange favors for roles, if you catch my drift. For this reason, as the joke was quite crude, Disney removed this post-credits scene from all subsequent screenings of Toy Story, including streaming platforms. And this time, I have to say that they definitely did the right thing. Folks, those were the 10 scenes that Disney had to modify or delete from their animated movies and series. Did you already know any of these deleted scenes? Did you watch any of them before they were cut? I, for one, had already watched the Simpsons episode with Michael Jackson before they took it out of circulation. What about you? Share with us. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye-bye!